my friends, and welcome to episode 207 of the Kiss Army Nation podcast. I'm your host, Pasquale Barry.
And I am Claudia Spera. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Tonight, we are thrilled to be joined by a woman who has helped revolutionize women's wrestling and continues to inspire across multiple industries. She's a stuntswoman, actress, entrepreneur, and now author of her memoir, Hooray for Hollywood. And yes, Kiss also fits into this story. Kiss Army Nation, please help us welcome the one and only Jeanne Basone. Welcome to the show, my good friend.
Oh, thank you so much. Yay. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. So thank you for making, time from your busy schedule. So, we get us going, Jeanne. So can you tell us about the little Jeanne Basone growing up in Greendale, California? How did you first get involved in professional wrestling, for instance?
Sure. So I had a regular job in the medical field, and I did not want that job. I just didn't. But I had this audition for a sports TV show, and I'm about 21 then, and I answered that. I went down to the interview. Lots of women there. They said they were going to need 12 ladies to do a pilot for a TV show that would be filmed in Las Vegas, but they didn't. But when they said what sport it was no sports that I really had done, and this was pro wrestling, and I was like, oh boy. However, when you're 21, you're very you're strong, you're naive, but you have no fear. So I'm like, I'm going. And so that was the interview.
That was the audition for Glow?
That was an interview first. That was an interview. From that interview, then I went on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays to train how to wrestle.
Okay.
So every day there were new girls coming in and out, and I was still staying, and I was just one of the 12 that made it to do the pilot that we shot in December 1985.
Wow.
I know, it's very cool.
That's really crazy. So you never expected, to get into wrestling at that age, I guess.
No.
So, not at all.
No.
Wow.
And no experience by like I said, none of the girls had any experience in wrestling. I mean, in the 80s, what? You were a cheerleader, you were an aerialist. I played softball and volleyball, but wrestling, no.
That was what, 83, 84 kind of thing?
That was 85.
85. Okay. Wow.
That's sort of like a springboard to who you're going to become later on, because you're a person who takes chances. You go in and see what happens. And this was a good indication of that.
Correct. Oh, yeah.
So wrestling and Kiss pretty much go hand in hand, right? For example, both involve characters. So how did the character of Hollywood come to be?
So the training, they had characters already. They had 12 characters named already. So they were trying to match us girls, the ones that were going to make that cut. They're going to match our personalities with those characters, kind of like Kiss, and again, it is a lot like Kiss because we have makeup on, and I play a heel, and a heel means you are a bad guy.
Okay.
So that's perfect for Kiss.
Okay.
I think.
It is.
So how would you describe the concept of Glow to a Kiss fan?
I would say that it would be pro wrestling, all women's pro wrestling with music and rap songs and comedy sketches. So that's exactly, it's just kind of like comic book heroes coming to life with songs, raps, and wrestling and rock and roll.
Nice.
And I'll tell you that in a minute.
And you were the only original cast member to appear throughout the entire run of the show, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So I did the pilot, and then season 1 and 2, when those were finished, a lot of those ladies left, and I was going to leave too, but I stayed, and then we had all new characters for season 3 and season 4. So yeah, that's why I thought the book would be perfect for me, since I was there through the whole, the whole shebang.
So you got the full story. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not making it up as I go along. These are true things that happen, good and bad. you know,
And I'm sure
sad
that
and happy.
I'm sure you have stuff for more than one book.
Oh, yes.
Oh yes, it's
That's
coming.
one of the questions at the end. Yeah.
There you
What's
go.
next?
There you go. Beautiful. So, Jeannie, do you believe that Glow was a little bit of ahead of its time in terms of empowering women?
Yes, absolutely. That's a good question. And you really answered it. We were ahead of our time, not knowing that we were ahead of our time, obviously, because we didn't have these, and these screens back and forth. So, we only knew if we were popular uh, when we went on tour, when we saw the kids dressing the same way that we
The
were dressed,
reaction.
wearing their hair the
Mhm.
same way, having posters signed. We also had fan mail, but you know what, guys? They never gave us our fan mail. One day I was in Los Angeles and I went over to the office to pick up my Glow check. As I was going through the office, I saw this big giant bag of mail. And so I asked the receptionist, I'm like, what? I go, what is that over there? She goes, oh, that's the Glow fan mail. I was like, oh my God, that's Glow fan mail? We're popular? I ran over there and I grabbed a whole bunch of I just couldn't believe it that, we didn't have internet. We didn't have these phones and anything. So, you wouldn't know if you were popular, but to see that whole bag of mail, trust me, it was as big as a body. I wanted to throw it over my shoulder and
Really?
firemen carry it out.
So why were they withholding the mail from you guys?
I think that they didn't want it to go to our head. You have to figure we've got production, director, and these 30, 40, 20-year-old girls running around. I think they wanted to keep egos down. Did you know also they didn't even put our show on in Vegas? So where you all could be watching it, they did not have that channel bought specifically so we couldn't watch it. Now, I beg to differ. I always think when you watch yourself, you learn. Oh, am I too fat? Am I stuttering? Should I turn this way? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can
Yeah, that's
critique
true.
yourself, man.
Yeah.
So now these poor girls, we all have to wait, until we go home or, to videotape it to see, did we look stupid when we, you know what I mean? What
Right.
looks good, what looks bad. Yeah. So
Do you have trouble watching yourself on TV or watching your own performances?
yes. I don't even want Orion there to watch. I feel because I was in my 20s, so I feel almost like a different person. Like that's my little sister. So yeah, and you're learning. And like I said earlier, I said when you're young, you're fearless. So you just go out and do whatever. Like I said, we didn't get to see if we look, Well, that's the cool thing because I wasn't self-conscious about me during that time. All I knew is I'm going to give 110%. And you have one opportunity sometimes to prove that.
Yeah.
And then you want to do the best that you can, especially if you care about your career or the show.
But you know what I find, Jeannie, at that age, things go so fast, and sometimes I don't know if it's good to be so conscious about yourself. Things move so at
Well,
at
I
the
wasn't.
rate of speed.
I didn't have time.
That's right, exactly. So
But then
you
young
keep
girls
moving.
do, though. Young girls, they really do. And a lot of those ladies, when we went to go on tour for eating, they were doing salads. Our director, and I'm going to be honest, wasn't very nice.
Okay.
He would tell someone, get your fat ass. But I mean, he would be very rude.
Right.
And it was terrible because treating women that way, and this is before all of these, right?
Yeah.
There was fat shaming back then, and they were all watching their diets, and that, it just comes, I think, with the territory. But for me, I was very blessed, thin. I ate, if I wanted McDonald's, I went straight in there to get McDonald's. No problem with that. I would eat whatever I want. But, I worked so hard that I was burning everything, that I put into my body.
So now, if we fast forward, we see a lot of women's, wrestling today. So how did your time in Glow shape your view of women's wrestling today?
I think, well, first of all, we're strong women. And the one thing that I like, first of all, about Glow in the 80s, which is a little different than the women today. If you look at the girls, we're all different sizes and shapes and different color. We're not, the same copycat looking type of girl that you see today. Everybody today, to me, kind of almost looks the same. All the hair, the extensions, and this and that, and enhance a little more. But I'll go to a bunch of conventions, and there'll be a lot of the younger generation that said, "We watched you." And I didn't know that they were watching us. We looked up to you girls. So we just happened to be at the right place, I think, at the wrong time.
On the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
right place at the wrong time, or however you want to say it.
Yeah. But you definitely became an influence, on all of the ladies.
Yes.
Yeah.
We did influence them. And also something that was different than today, we got away with a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't have. Straight jackets. Okay, so now we're making fun of, special needs people.
Right.
Which we weren't trying to make fun of anybody, but they pushed the envelope. Myself, Vine, and Matilda the Hun were against Americana, Mount Fiji, and Little Fiji. This was going to be like Germany versus America. And we had the German flag. Right. That stuff would not go today at all. We pushed the button a little bit and got
different
away
times. But at that time, I think it wasn't perceived as anything wrong. So that was the time, right?
No.
So it was. And
correct. That's the whole '80s movement. The whole '80s, when someone's hitting on you, that is just what people did. Does your producer hit on you? Does this person? They did, and that was normal.
Yeah, of course.
Whether you took it to a different level was up to you. And in the book, I would tell you, I ended up saying no several times, and I thought I'm going to lose my job. But I thought, well, have some dignity. And I didn't. I thought I'm going to be fired. No, I wasn't fired. So it's okay to say no.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, every time we talk about you, Jeannie, the word, empowerment, comes right away. So, but talking about empowerment and connecting to KISS and specifically with Jeanne Simmons. So something happened between you and Jeanne. So can you tell us about that interaction?
Yes. So when Eric Singer was in the band playing drums, I was a friend of Eric's. And Eric had said, hey, Jeanne needs content for his magazine. Do you guys remember Tongue magazine?
Tongue, yes, of course.
Right. Okay. So he wanted content. I go, well, Eric, go ahead and give him my number. That would be okay. I happen to be in New York. I pick up the phone from this unknown number, and I hear the guy on the other end. He goes, Jeanne, this is Jeanne. And he asked if he could come by and do an interview for his magazine. And I said, this is perfect. I said, I'm in New York right now. When I get back in town, I'll touch base with you. Meet me at my house. And I had rented a ring just for this. Well, I always had the ring for rent, but on this occasion, I said, I'll make sure that the ring is there. Come and check it out and see, which is great. And that's how that relationship started way back then. This is before I was dating Ryan.
Right.
So this is before Ryan Cook. And then when Ryan started playing with Jeanne years later, I said, do you remember me? He goes, yes, I remember. Of course.
Look at that. What a small world.
So it was kind of funny, especially when I had seen KISS after the fact, like in 1993, I remember seeing them. I thought that was going to be their last, concert. They were at the Forum and, and I have I don't know if I said it in the book, but on that particular concert, I just happened to be sitting where people go in and out through the foreign club. There's a foreign club. And I had this girl, I was in my seat pretty high, and I had this girl tapping at me from down below.
Okay.
And I looked down and I said, what? She goes, here are 2 backstage passes go to meet I never met the band at all. I took my best friend with me. And Doc McGee had given me tickets, and I didn't know who Doc was. And when Doc goes, hi, he goes, I'm the one that gave you the ticket. And it was very loud downstairs. And I said, what is your name? He goes, I couldn't hear Doc McGee. I go, Doctor who? I felt like
That's
such an
fun.
idiot, but I know the members, their names, but I didn't know who their manager
Yeah, the
was.
management. Okay.
I just went home afterwards. They were all going to party somewhere, and I did not do that. Had to take my friend back home to her boyfriend, which was good.
Quiet.
Which was a good thing.
That's good.
It was safe.
Yeah, big time.
Now, speaking of Kiss, they've gone through several transitions in their career, as did you.
Right.
So how did you transition from wrestling, of all things, stunt work and acting?
Oh, yeah. So when Glow was finished, if you can land as hard as we can on a mat and have Mountain Fiji, who's 350 pounds, throw you outside the ring or do whatever she does,
you can do anything.
You can do almost anything. So one of my friends in Glow, Cheryl Russa, was starting in stunts. She's little, so her gig was, I can stunt for children, which was great because she got a lot of work. So she goes, you should get into this. So she was the one that got me hired in certain shows.
Okay.
I should have stuck with it, guys, because let me tell you, that pays much better than wrestling does. So there's the difference between Hollywood and wrestling. When you're doing a show, on a union show, you're getting residuals. Your base pay is a lot.
Yeah.
You have your own trailer.
A better
you
package.
Really are getting.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned when you started Glow that you didn't know what you were getting yourself into. Now, did wrestling prepare you for Hollywood? Excuse the pun.
Yeah. Of course it did. Yes, it prepared me as a performer, a stunt woman. Someone who advocates for bullying, or not bullying. No, I hate bullying, first of all. Kids are so mean. But yes, I would say that absolutely that show did get me ready, to be an adult. I guess you always think you're an adult when you're 20, 21, but man,
yeah, that's true.
Let me tell you, kids, tell you. You know what you think you know it all, but you don't. Trust me.
Agreed.
It's
Agreed.
true.
Right. Experience, kids. Experience.
I'm a high school teacher. I know what you're talking about. Trust me.
Oh, I love it. I know those kids. I feel sorry for you.
No, they're fantastic. They're fantastic.
I'm glad to hear that. That's so good to hear.
Yeah.
Good.
So Claudio mentioned earlier about women's empowerment, right? On a similar question, do you see any differences in how women were treated in wrestling compared to the film industry?
Good question.
I would say in the film industry, they may take you a little more serious. I don't know why. I think that all changed with Hulk Hogan and The Rock. Things, evolved differently. But back then, they thought wrestling was low.
Okay.
Low on the totem pole back in the 80s. And it wasn't till later where, let's look at them now. Wow, they were empowered. They didn't look at us like like Hollywood industry, not at all.
Okay.
They look down for sure.
So, Jeannie, another transition, in your great life, when you moved into entrepreneurship, okay, and what inspired you to start Hollywood Botanica? So, this is a great company. You do many products like artisan soap and stuff. So how did you get into that? So what inspired you to kind of start that off?
I always loved products with not a lot of preservatives in them. And I'm like, let's make something kind of natural. But I was always attracted to, every time I went somewhere, I'm like, ooh, this soap is nice. What's in it? And it just happened to be in 2018. I was getting some Christmas presents local. And I'm like, this is really a good idea. This is local soap in the area, made, handcrafted here with these great ingredients. I want to try doing that. Now, you guys, this is before COVID-19 and COVID, whatever it's called. What is it called? Yeah.
COVID-19.
Yeah. It was before. Gosh, it's been so many years. I'm like, what year? What number is it? I'm sorry. Yeah. And it was before then. So what a great time to be inspired by soap and washing your hands. And what I like about it, guys, is when I get off the road, you know what? I'm a little tired. I mean, I'm getting older. I want some time off. But what soap does for me, it's totally calming. And I love it. Some people like to read. Some people like to cook. I like to make soap. And let me just tell you something. People will say, oh, anyone can make soap. That is freaking not true. Yeah, you can. What I do is you put chemicals together. And that's what it is, because it's organic olive oil, coconut oil. The sodium hydroxide is the thing that you don't want to mess with water. All of that gets really hot. So everything has to be at certain temperatures. If you don't have the temperatures right, forget it.
It doesn't work.
You don't have good soap. That's it. And I had to learn that. You know, it took 2 years to get it like that. Yes, I learned it maybe in 6 months, a year, but not for 2 years. It's just like I can get it done quickly. I know what I'm doing. And the business is great. I decided to call it Nashville Botanica after Hollywood Botanica. At first, I thought Hollywood Botanica with a K because of the character. Then I'm like, well, I'm in Nashville, and this is a local, you know, product, so I'm going to do it as Nashville Botanica. It's also in it's in the airport in Nashville.
Really? Wow.
Yes, and I'm doing a TV show on Friday about it, a little small show called Reach TV about having my soap in the store there.
Nice. So talking about that, so how can people get a hold of your products?
So you can either go, if you're an Instagram person, you can hit Nashville Botanica, or my official Glow Hollywood. I also sell it at Etsy, and I have a store there. And I have a website, NashvilleBotanica.com with a K.
Okay.
Yeah. Or just look it up. Just Google it.
Well, you can also find the link on your homepage, right? On
yes, or you could go
Basone.
my first name, last name, you guys. JeanneBasone.com has all of it. It has my book. It has the soap. Yeah, I love my life. Life is good.
Good attitude. And speaking of which, look what arrived here. Look what arrived here.
I know.
Awesome.
This book. I love this.
Can't wait to read it.
It's easy to read, I promise. It is.
So what can fans expect from this book?
Well, if you are a fan of pro wrestling, you'll love it. If you're a fan of Glow, you just want to know, or are you a fan of Jeanne? You want to know how she grew up, you know, and I did it, you guys, in parts. Part 1, growing up. Part 2, going into Glow. What I did after the show was gone. What do you do next? Especially if you're not planning on your show ending.
Yeah.
You know, I had no idea it was going to end. So I did it in parts. Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, and you can read them any way you want. But I think you'll enjoy it. Like I said, it's easy to read. There's a lot of photos in there on every single part that matches what I just said. Yeah.
I love these books, and not necessarily just for the content, but learning more about the person that went through what they went through and how they persevered. And that's what I'm really looking forward to reading in your book.
Thank you. Yeah, that was really important. And I thought, like we said earlier, I would be the perfect person to write this book just because of, you know, a groundbreaking show that we had never heard of. You know, how does one become that character?
Yeah.
It wasn't, you know, what's a bad guy? You know, we didn't have, there wasn't, how do you do that? How do you become that? Well, I decided that I would make her, I loved all that 80s music, you guys. So I'm looking at all the 80s girls on MTV. I'm like, I'm going to crimp my hair. Yeah, I'm going to wear these gloves. I'm going to put a choker on, a leather belt.
Oh, dear, that.
That's what I ended up copying, you know, Motley Crue videos and stuff.
That's right. Girls. That's right.
Yeah. That's what we did. At least that's what my character did, because I was allowed to do that, since Hollywood could be any part of Hollywood. It could be old Hollywood, 1920s. It was going to be rock and roll for me.
It was the 80s. Okay. And it worked, you know, it's proof that it worked perfectly, you know, what you did.
It did. Thank you. Yes, it did.
So going through the process of writing the book, did you learn anything more about yourself?
Yeah, you go back again, and you read, and you go back and go, wow, I did this and I did that and this happened. Holy shit. I'd be like, what? Wait till you get to the crime.
Okay.
Wait till you find out about being on surveillance when you know, that's scary. You learn a lot about what you went through, your ups, your downs, sad times. And you know, like I said, rereading again, I can't help it, but you know, it's almost like reading somebody else's book. You feel
Really?
that.
Wow.
It is. And I love reading other people's biographies and learning about them. And, you know, it's so cool. You
And I
had a
guess,
great book too. You had a great book is Matthew McConaughey, Green Lights. Oh my God, it's so good.
So,
And
you know, you have a pretty full life, right?
Yes.
You've accomplished so much. How do you balance being a businesswoman, performer, a public figure? How do you do all that?
I ask myself that all the time. You know what, you guys, you just do. And when I was in California this weekend, watching, I was at an Ace Frehley concert to see Ryan play. They were so good. They were at the Whiskey. You just balance it. You know, a lot of my trips, I'll book work, see mom and dad at the same time and go see a show. And that's what I did. It was Father's Day. You just balance it. Really, it's what I've been doing all my life. So for me, it's easy. Same with Ryan. Ryan does the same thing. That's how we work.
yeah, that's your pace, I guess, right? So you get used
that
to
is
it,
the
and
pace, and it's hard
right.
to slow down.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
know when you have to slow down, then you make soap.
You relax. That's good.
You relax.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, Jeannie, being a Kiss podcast, we cannot talk about Kiss, okay? And do you remember? Now we're gonna go a little bit into the specifics of your fandom. If you're a huge Kiss fan, I bet you do. So you are. So remember the first time you heard a Kiss song?
So the first time I was introduced to Kiss was 7th grade. I was sitting next to this boy, and he had Kiss, Led Zeppelin, and all these bands on his folder.
Okay.
And I hadn't heard of Kiss yet. I knew all the stuff, you know, more poppy type of stuff. And I went to get, at that time, so I think it was 78, 77. But I believe my first album, and I don't remember when it came out, Kiss Alive 2 was the first album, and I got that.
Okay.
And man, every song on those two albums were fantastic. I think my favorite, I did like Christine 16, very high schooly, thinking you're Christine 16.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket Ride was another one. Shock Me was great. All American Man. And it was very interesting because I listened to it so much, right, that I knew every single song on each side. Now, don't ask me to do it today, but I had it memorized and I listened to it day in and day out. Now, I just want to let you know, too, I was a fan, obviously, you know, looking at them in makeup. To me, they were like cartoon characters,
right.
You know, they're super heroines, or, you know, that's what they were to me. I wasn't necessarily attracted to one or another, but it was the music. And it's almost like growing up when you hear something on the radio and you didn't have, you know, this kind of stuff to show you what people looked like. You heard the music first, and then you fell in love with it. And so that has always been I followed the song, and then I may have seen Van Halen and what David Lee Roth looked like, or Eddie Van Halen, or Robert Plant, you know, but it was the music, or the Doors, I know, you know, or Kiss, I still wasn't. It was just, keep that makeup on, and you are my hero.
Please, keep
Please
it on.
keep the makeup on.
Well, that's
what a great concept, though. My God.
Yeah. You know, this is marketing genius. You know, this is kind of a recurring, you know, question, because, you know, some people get into Kiss because of the visuals, you know, and the theatrics and all of that. But we're finding, I don't know if you think the same, Pask, but we're finding more and more people got into Kiss really because of the music. And this is the case with Genius. So this is awesome. This is great.
It's like my book. It's easy to read. What's
Right.
that simple,
Yeah.
stupid,
Yeah.
whatever,
Simple,
it's
stupid.
easy. And
Yeah.
that's what people like. And they like a good hook. And plus, they had cool factor.
Yeah.
Everyone in school had hats and belts and t-shirts.
Right.
I didn't have that stuff yet, but the boys all had all of that.
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to be cool like them, then that's why you went and got Kiss Alive too, and then all the other ones, before.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mhm.
So being so big on you at that age, so did Kiss had any influence in any way on you as a performer?
I would say yes, because you want to be cool.
Mhm.
All right. You want to be confident. Also, too, like Ace Frehley, I believe, kind of having creative control at a young age and knowing what works and what doesn't work. I don't like when people control us and tell us, do this, do that, do that. I'm always rebel. And to me, Kiss is that.
Mhm.
It's also like, you want to show your parents, this is what I'm listening to.
Right.
Gene bloody with his tongue sticking out. Oh, this is great, Mom. This is awesome. And also a great influence is stage clothes.
Mhm.
I took that into consideration. I don't remember if we talked about it, but I brought in different costumes all the time so that Vine and I, first, it was just cool just to look really hip. Everybody else had the same outfit.
Yeah.
And we didn't. I had a zebra print, and we had a silver corset, and I had a black corset and a pink, really high cut leotard. I did that. I would leave and go into Hollywood and go to the shops where the dancers were at, and or back then, Fredericks of Hollywood. I'm like, well, we want sexy. I'd go and
Yeah.
bring it, and then I bring it in, you guys. I wouldn't ask a soul, can we wear this? I don't want them to tell me no.
Just go for it.
Just
That's right.
wear it and go out and do the match.
That's so Kiss. Absolutely. That's
It's
beautiful.
true. Do what you
Yeah.
want. You know what looks good.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
at least I thought I knew what looks good, but I think our fans would agree that Hollywood and Vine looked pretty good in our outfits.
So I guess we all agree that Kiss has always embodied, the philosophy of doing things your way, as you just said, and don't
Yes.
let anyone tell you otherwise. So you go against the rules. This is
Yes.
pure rock and roll, and you as a performer, you did it in every single endeavor that you went into. So did you take in that philosophy because of the band, or were you attracted to the band because you yourself held that philosophy within you?
I held that philosophy within me, and maybe it's just a little bit of both, really, because you're watching these performers and you're like, yeah, I want to be like that guy. I want to be like her, watching Madonna do her thing and Cyndi Lauper. Those were not characters, but, singers back then. Joan Jett, look at that.
There you go.
I mean, I love Joan Jett, and I love
My
the Pretenders.
Yeah.
Yeah, and look at them. That's pretty empowering as well.
Yeah. How about Lita Ford?
Oh,
Were
yeah,
you
Lita
into
Ford.
too?
Oh, my God, yes. Yes, of course, Lita Ford. Wow.
My
Very
goodness.
sexy. Mhm.
My goodness.
Yeah.
So, just trying to wrap up on the Kiss stuff. The end of the road. I think, were you there in New York with to see the final two shows?
No, but
No,
we
you didn't
did.
have the
I think
chance.
we were able to pay. Was it on pay-per-view?
Yeah.
We watched the pay-per-view.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
No. Were you
So-
there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we were there. Yeah, we
Oh.
were there. Yeah, we
Yes.
were. Yeah, that's
Did you guys get those gold bars? Did you get a gold bar?
I got one.
Yeah, Ryan
Yeah,
got
Buzz-
one
He
Nice.
got it.
because
Oh,
somebody just gave it to him. Yeah,
Same
those
here.
gold bars.
that's awesome.
Nice.
So now that the band is not touring anymore, so we have Ace Frehley, touring with Ryan and the Boys, and Gene Simmons doing his thing. So what would you like to see for the future of Kiss? Are you into this Avatar thing? Are you excited about it?
You know what I'd really love to see, and I know the fans would, it's like Skid Row. Put the band back together one time.
There you go.
put everybody together so we can see them one last time. That's it. You don't have to be friends. You don't. So what? Everybody have their own room and do their, ego thing themselves. Give the fans what they want. And that's what I would love to see.
Okay.
Put the band back together one more time.
Okay.
That's fair.
That would be a perfect opportunity for the Las Vegas event coming up in November.
I know.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Wish they would do it, but man.
I don't see that happening.
I don't either. Ryan and I have talked about it, and he knows better than I know that it won't happen. But we can wish.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Maybe, you know what? Some people change their mind. They just do. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
It would be really nice.
Hopefully, we'll see.
I would be at that show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the wrestling thing, because I think fans are going to enjoy this episode because, for one reason or another, you talk to other KISS fans, we all have the same thing in common. We all love horror movies, sci-fi, wrestling.
Yes.
It's incredible.
Zombies,
exactly. And in a sense, KISS embodies all of that. KISS has always been known for their theatricality. So how do you think that compares to the over-the-top world of pro wrestling?
Oh, it's like the same.
Right.
You've got KISS over here, and you've got the wrestling over-the-top stuff going on. It's the same but different. I always thought that rock and roll should go with wrestling. I always wanted to do rock and roll wrestling. I thought it would be fantastic. The wrestlers come out first on stage, then they announce KISS. Could you imagine? I think putting the best in both worlds. I don't think in a big arena or someplace that anyone's done it. I think it would be fantastic.
They tried doing that with the Demon, and they wanted to eventually have all four characters
right.
KISS wrestlers. For some reason, that didn't happen. It should have, because it would have been perfect.
Right. I think it would have been good. Well, they could have got mini KISS, and they could have wrestled.
Many members.
Come on, I know a little about a little. No pun intended. I'm sorry.
Ace punching Paul. That's awesome. You got it.
So I have a bit of an off-the-wall question here. Which KISS member would have made the best Glow tag team partner, and why?
That is super easy. I know you know what it is. I know you both know who it is. It is the Guitar Hero. It is Ace Frehley. He had the cool factor, the makeup, solo success. Yes, perfect. He would be my tag team partner. And he's a baddie. He's a bad guy. Not a bad guy. He's a heel. He would be a heel like me, and his makeup is just crazy.
So cool.
Yeah.
He's
unique.
He's so unique, unpredictable, hilarious.
Totally. Yes.
Oh yeah, he'd be.
You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know.
Anything can happen. That's right.
Exactly.
Anything can happen with Ace. That's what you want.
Exactly.
Expect the unexpected.
Yeah.
So, Jeanne, a couple of more questions before we close the recording on this great episode. So, looking back, what do you consider your proudest accomplishment? You have so many. And you touched on so many different things, and you've been really, really successful. You still are. So, what are you most proud of what you?
What I would say. This book was the most proud I could ever be, because that had my whole career in it, from born in 1963 till today, and I have pictures to show. I made this book. I wrote it classy, not trashy, easy to read, and I am very proud of it. And I have been getting really, really great reviews from people. I wouldn't write a review of something that I didn't like, and so to see everybody saying how much that they enjoyed it and maybe took something out of it, that would be great. There's a great section about bullying in here that's really important to my heart. We talked about that. But to get this book and go, oh my gosh, all my words are in there, and it took a very long time. I did a lot of hard work on it, but what's next for Jeanne? I know you're going to ask me.
Yes, what's next for Jeanne? What's next for Jeanne?
What's next? book number 2, maybe something
yeah.
else.
Really?
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff I held back on. I don't know, maybe book 2, maybe it's a coloring book. I don't know, you guys.
Okay. So
We'll see.
you have already started working on it, I
Oh,
guess.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
You know what? Thank goodness for the phones because you can talk into them. If you wake up in the middle of the night, great idea. Forgot about that. Add that. Where did that do? Was that in there? All you have to do is go look on your Word doc, type in the word. Oh, yeah, we talked about that already. Thank goodness for computers.
Yeah.
They don't usually fail you, especially if you have backup drives. But yeah, I've been working on a few things, and I think book 2, something along those lines. Audio is coming. So the audio book, yeah.
Okay. The
So that
audiobook.
would really be up very next.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
we're working on that as we speak.
Okay.
And that's not easy either, guys.
No, huh?
Not for me.
Tell us more about that. Why is not so
Just
easy?
because this is a lot of, when you're doing it, if you see that I'm very hyper, I'm excited about what I do, I'm excited when I get on a podcast, I give to you, my fans, everything. In here, I'm still going to be Jeannie, but I need to slow down a little bit when I'm reading. I'm learning all these
Shift down.
tips.
Okay.
All of a sudden I'll say a word, we have to go back. So I did a lot of due diligence listening to other audiobooks as well, just to see how everybody else does it. I think when you do a lot of homework, things look so much better.
Yeah. You need to
Or
prep.
sound.
You need to prep for everything that you do.
Absolutely.
And I guess there's a technique, just to get the best out of an audiobook, in terms of
Right.
the pace and the voice and the tone
Correct.
and all the stuff.
Right.
It's
Yes.
a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
That's one, genius. So what advice would you give a young woman entering wrestling? Stunt work or entrepreneurship?
Yeah, in every field, I think that you need to give 110%. If you want a gig really bad, you need to give everything. And that's what I did in Glow. I knew right away when Mondo said, who can ram their head into the turnbuckle and land on their back? I knew that to raise my hand immediately. Yes. When he said who, I was like, yes, regardless if I could do it or not. Yeah. Perseverance, just go for it. Give it your all.
Nice.
Work ethic, eh? Work
Yeah.
ethic, just give it all. Give it all your best. Awesome.
So, Janine, in closing, I just want to say, listen, a lot of our listeners know that I'm a teacher. Specifically,
Yes.
I'm an ethics teacher. And it's been such a pleasure to talk to you, to get to know you. You are beautiful inside and out. You are a genuine spirit. What you see is what you get. The minute the minute you came on and you said, "Hey guys," I go, "I'm going to like her." She's the real deal. She's the real deal.
I've known you for years.
Exactly,
Like.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
And I tell myself that, okay, I'm an ethics teacher, but I don't actually teach ethics. I see myself as someone who guides the students.
Oh, they love that.
I
would have loved you as my teacher.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Here's a road. Here's another road. You choose, and I'll help you navigate through that road.
That's
now,
right.
in doing that, I love having, guest speakers. It would be amazing to have you as a guest speaker. You would be so inspirational to these students.
Oh, I've done Read Across America for kids already, where you read a book to children that are very, very young. I would, in a heartbeat, I would love to do that. That would be an honor to do that.
That would be fantastic. So
we're going to work on this, okay?
Absolutely.
No, I'm serious.
No, so am I. So am I. We
Okay.
could do a Zoom thing with the class.
I will do it.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yes.
That'd be amazing. We'll talk and get that
Okay.
going.
I would love that. Have them have questions and stuff,
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that would be brilliant.
Nice.
Let's see that.
Nice. Yeah, we'll do it. So, my friend, thank you once again for coming on the show. It was a genuine delight. Thank you.
Thank you all for having me. I look forward to talking again.
Yeah.
Same here. So thank you so much for your time, Jeannie. It's been a pleasure. And, as Paz was saying, you're beautiful in and out. And it's been fascinating to me to get to know you. And hope we have the chance to meet in person sometime. And
I hope so.
in the meantime, wish you all the best in all the adventures and projects that you're getting into. you're going to succeed. You're going to rock it out as usual.
Thank you. Shout it out loud,
There you
everybody.
go.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
To the KISS Army, we hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or ideas, please send them to talktome@kissarmynationpodcast.com. Until the next time, remember, never stop rocking. Take care, everyone.